Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
Nobody's complaining if you got people in the backyard and you fire up some CCR. Nobody.
It's good summer music for sure. That'd be a hell of an add to a playlist for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, though, if you're having people over, you always put together a playlist. And you're not, like, it's not music that burns. You're not sitting around a fire going, enough! CCR, like, this sucks. Like, no one's going to say that. I don't think anybody has ever said that.
It's more of a passive-aggressive approach. But, hey, listen, you got Bluetooth. Here, let me put on my playlist.
I've had that done to me.
Off.
I've had that done to me before.
Or a comment like, man, CCR just keeps rolling with those tunes, hey? Like something like, mentioning the music being like repetitive.
Yeah, like if you're playing too much of one band, or you'll get into genres too. Yes. Like, you got any?
This is a little hard, don't you think?
The metal.
Hey, it happens a lot on a golf course now because you have four potential playlists that you're dealing with here, but it's the person who brings the speaker, and then you're kind of hung on that playlist, and then you're right. If it's one genre and you're going, well, it'd be nice to have a little bit of an assorted mix here, but...
Sorry, go ahead, Cribbs.
I was just going to say, I really like the Apple Music feature where you can listen to playlists by your mood.
Yes.
Because,
Spotify has the same
and I'm
kind
sure,
of idea.
you can organize music that way, too, on other platforms. But, yeah, sometimes you're just like, what was it this morning? I think I was in a wake up in a good mood music for the playlist.
Right, you want something to cheer you up a little bit? Like would that be like...
I've never heard of the Let's Wake Up in a Sad Mood playlist.
I don't think they have that one, Joe.
That's what I'm saying.
They have the sad girl playlist, though.
Well, I'm sure. But
if you want to
when
cry,
you wake up, you're going, I don't want to cry today.
I'm in the mood to cry. I'd really like to cry on the way to work today if I could get that playlist.
Philly Joe Kirby.
Philly Joe and Kirby
Podcast.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
Pissed off? Well, then get the off Twitter and call the Bone phone.
Don't make me look up from my phone.
780-BONE. Brought to you by Auto Gallery of Winnipeg.
So I have a serious bone to pick with this city and the trains. Honestly, I am so upset I don't even know where to begin. There's an ambulance trying to get by, trying to save a life, and because the idiots who run this city can't figure out how to reroute these trains, really, I hope that people in charge of the way things are planned can hear this and understand that, it's not enough that I have to sit here and almost run out of gas because of these stupid trains. I can't get to the gas station, but no, there's an ambulance. Figure it out. I don't understand why there needs to be so many trains and why they need to be so long.
Okay, well, we've been through the whole trains thing. It's a massive part of our economy. It's all the goods and everything that you get, so much of it comes from the trains. So the trains aren't going anywhere, and they're huge. When you see the length of the trains, all I think of, and it's frustrating. It gets in the way of your day sometimes, but that's the economy rolling by. Am I wrong?
Well, if I could take a page out of your handbook, Kirby, just to be tranquil and enjoy and live your best life, look at all the graffiti art that's been created on those cars as they're driving by. I know. I'm channeling
like a
in.
Free art show. Take it in.
Listen, it's never going to happen in our lifetime because it's just going to be not cost efficient for any government that's going to rerun all these tracks outside the city. That's never going to happen in our lifetime.
In the next 100 years, I would say I guess would be
Underpasses,
overpass, something.
Could use a few more of those in town for sure.
Yeah, that would be ideal, right? But it's really expensive, and there's a couple spots here in Winnipeg that need it badly. Okay, moving along. The professor. And he's always good with the knowledge, with the facts, and here he wants to talk about the amount of space you should be leaving between other vehicles on the highway.
So, Chapter 6 of the MPI Driver's Handbook suggests using the 4-second rule when traveling in traffic. They suggest using a longer distance between vehicles on the highway or in adverse conditions, but if you're one of those people that are following only 2 to 3 car lengths behind somebody at 100, that's quite the hazard. If somebody ahead of you needs to stop for another vehicle, a pedestrian, a cyclist, a wild animal crossing the road, if somebody needs to apply the brakes and you're only 60 feet behind them, that's an extreme hazard. You're going to be one of those people that causes an accident. Very unnecessary. Take your time, follow safely, leave early.
Okay.
Some vehicles like mine will red light me on the dash if I get too close. It kind of the computer tells you that your braking time, or my wife.
Yeah.
So
always, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I'm not a bad driver that way, but it will come up when they're the passenger.
It's a nice feature, I will say, though, the emergency stop. Like, I'm sure that's like saved a lot of people.
Sure.
In situations.
I don't like it when you're veering too close out of your lane. Like my wife's vehicle has so many safety features. Beep, 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 beep.
You can turn that lane assist
Like,
thing.
stop
Yeah, I don't
beeping
like
at
the
me.
lane assist.
It's a lot of beeping going on in here. Am I that bad of a driver? Okay. This guy called yesterday and remember, he was the guy about the bigger signs. He wants bigger signs, and it started a whole conversation.
Well, Kirby agreed with him.
Kirby agrees, but he wants to clarify what he meant.
Places that I wish the signs were bigger, River Heights. If you've ever driven on Grant Avenue and Corydon Avenue trying to get to your friend's house out in River Heights, if you've never been there before, you'll have a nightmare of a time going down the right street the first time without, slowing down in the middle of traffic to, verify and check, hey, is this Campbell? Is this, Brock? Whatever it is, all the streets out in River Heights. Anyways, yeah, that's kind of those are the signs that I wish were bigger. Anyways, have a good day.
Yeah, you should never have to look for a sign
No,
of a street.
I use both those streets every day and avenues, but you're only going 50 on Corydon and 50 on Grant. It doesn't speed up any more than that, so I guess they figure they don't need to change the size of the signs because you're not able to go any faster than that.
I stayed with a friend when I first moved here on Lanark.
Yeah.
In that area. And I learned very quickly that you have to pay attention in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's tough to see those signs. Okay, let's wrap with Motorhead Guy. And we were talking about drive-thrus yesterday because was it National Drive-Thru Day or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey, Billy, Joe, and Kirby, it's Motorhead Guy. You guys are talking about going through a drive-thru. And so, as Joe saw, I drive like a big, multicolored Dodge, and that thing is loud. So when I go to the drive-thru, I pull up. I'm like, hi, what can I get for you? I'm like, hi, can I get a McDouble? And they're like, sorry, sir, can you please go around or shut your truck off because we can't hear you. I'm like, I'm not shutting my truck off. I just want a McDouble. And then they're like, sorry, sir, we can't. Oh, okay, I'm going to go to the window now. Then I get to the window, and then I'm like, hi, can I get a McDouble? And they're like, oh, that's what I thought you said. I said, yeah, that's what I said. But anyways, I hope y'all have a great day, and peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's
I'll
fun.
tell you, Motorhead's been calling a long time, but when I did meet him and the size of the truck and the sound of the truck, you can see why he doesn't know he's yelling all the time because you got to be able to hear over the truck.
I was going to say, who's louder, the truck or him?
No, it's him. It's him.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
Throwdown Thursday.
Every Thursday at this time, we pit two fictional characters against each other. Not always fictional characters. We had a goose versus a wild turkey not so long ago. Mm-hmm. And we have other potential wildlife matchups in the hopper. So those will come as well. Last week, it was Jason Bourne versus James Bond. I believe at last check last week, Bond was winning that. Which
Could be. It was tight.
Yeah, very similar. But Bourne is ridiculous. Like, there was a Bourne marathon on. There's always a Bourne marathon on. Like, always.
Yes.
And it's ridiculous how tough he was.
There's a Bond marathon on a lot
That's
too,
the
actually.
point.
So that was a pretty good battle.
Yeah. Who's on the guide more often should be the throwdown. You were gonna say, Kirby?
No, I'm just kind of gathering my information for
On
today's throwdown.
Okay. Well, Joe, you kind of came up with this one because the movie's coming out tomorrow. Deadpool, Wolverine. So we went Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Well, they're saying that this movie will break the box office record for the number one, opening weekend for R-rated movie. It's beating its own record. It was Deadpool that had the record.
Okay.
But they're thinking it's going to project to about 176 million this weekend, which is big numbers for what's happened this year with the box office. And I guess worldwide about 350 million. So there's a lot of people talking about Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah, theaters will be packed. Kirby, did you Google something on this movie? Because I did too. And originally for me, it was going to be Wolverine easy. How are we even having this conversation? Like those claws. Dude's a badass, right? But I came up with something that's kind of changing my opinion. Did you?
I mean, I just wanted to learn more about Wolverine because I feel like I don't know much about the character aside from the fact that he's those claws.
He's a deep man too.
Yeah, and Deadpool, I've kind of been up on. So, anyways, you go.
Okay, well this kind of changed my way of thinking about it. Wolverine. This is Googled. Wolverine has unbreakable bones and claws that cut through anything. Deadpool uses normal swords and normal bones. This part I didn't know. Thanos also cursed Deadpool to never die, so he is quite literally unkillable. Wolverine is killable. You just got to make sure you kill him good, though.
I think it's the closest matchup we've had when you take the two characters.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because they both have the superhuman strength, the speed, the endurance. They have that. They also have, Deadpool, he's got the healing. He
does. He regenerates. Yeah.
Right? And then you've got the bone, obviously a good calcium guy, Wolverine. Very good in the calcium department. But I will say this, the claws over the hand-to-hand combat stuff, like the nunchuck stuff, and I'm telling you, I don't want to use the movies as my deciding vote, but I'm going to go with Deadpool.
You're going Deadpool?
I think so.
Okay. I'll go...
I like the character better myself as far as a comic book character.
I'm going to go Wolverine just because I can't bring myself... I know there's lots of opinions out there online. I just can't bring myself to bet against Wolverine.
I'm going to take Deadpool.
So 2-1.
But either way, I'm just going to say between the two of them and the fact that they have those healing...
the regeneration.
It is going to be the longest fight ever.
I thought the claws might have been the deciding factor for you at one time.
Well, at one time when I had the claws.
When you still had your nails, would you have gone with Wolverine, Kirby?
Perhaps.
Okay, so that's changed some things in your life.
You're not wrong. It would be a marathon of a battle, and we might see that come the movie. But I think it's the toughest Throwdown Thursday yet.
Let us know at the 92.1 City Facebook page. You can also text us, 762-555. By the way, Joe, do you still carry your nunchucks around?
Well, I leave them in my my work bag.
Just in case.
It takes them a little longer to pull them out, yes.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
About a half an hour away from completely useless trivia, Joe. A little less. And we got some pretty cool prizes up for grabs this morning.
Burt Block Party tickets to see the Headstones. I've just been watching Mayor of Kingstown, and Hugh Dillon is one of the executive producers of that show. Highly recommend it on Paramount. It's just one of those cool type of shows. It's just kind of thinks outside of the box, right? About a guy who's a fixer, right? Jeremy Renner. He's a fixer when it comes to crime and the jail system. And
every time you bring this up, I think you're talking about the mayor of the other mayor,
Easttown.
Easttown.
I haven't seen that one yet.
That one's with
Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's also a great show.
It is a good show, hey?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. No, I've been concentrating on this one.
Okay. Well, maybe you've been raving about this show, so I'm kind of...
I'll tell you right now, I'd rather sit and talk to Hugh Dillon at this point in his career about that show than I would, again, about the headstones and the music.
And he probably would, too. He's answered the questions about music so often.
And he's also in Yellowstone, right? His character. But he's good friends with Taylor Sheridan, I guess. Anyway. Well, good to see a Canadian do so well.
You know, when the Headstones roll through town for the Burt Block Party, that H will have a chance to sit down with Hugh, and those are awesome interviews. Last time the Headstones were in town, they don't look like an interview. They look like two guys because they know each other so well, Howard and Hugh.
Yep.
It's just two dudes sitting there yakking about the stories over the years and this and that. I love it.
Don't forget about the special guest non-sanctioned appearance by Guilty from the Bone Phone. He said that's where his next appearance is going to be.
Yes.
Speaking of Guilty, I got a call that I didn't get a chance to play in the Bone Phone that I want to play right now because it involves some news about a special guest that we're going to have coming in studio in the next couple of weeks.
Hey, team, what's going on? Listen, I got an in on Magnus Vermagnusson, the strongman that's coming to Gimli right away. One of the guys that works for me is a strongman, Travis Clausen, and he's total friends with him. I said, well, we got to get him on the radio. So, Philly, you said you liked this guy a lot. Guilty taking care of the boys. But yeah, he's friends with him. My buddy pulls buses and planes and stuff like that. He's a carpenter, works for us. He's amazing, worked for us for the last 8 months. Get back to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Wrong, man.
I hate to tell Guilty, but you and I have both heard from different people that, I mean, Magnus has obviously got friends in this province because we've been connected by a while. But could you imagine working with Guilty on that construction crew and all of a sudden one of those big pieces of equipment gets stuck? There's actually somebody on the crew that can pull it out with their teeth.
That would be
and their
wild.
arms.
Talk about a great guy to have on a work crew. Someone who does the strongman competitions. Just to confirm, thank you, Guilty.
Yes.
But we have, through Joe, you got an offer, and I also got an offer through a great
You're
dude.
looking after it.
Great dude named Brad said, hey, do you want to have Magnus Vermagnusson on? This is a legendary, arguably the GOAT of these strongman competitions. If you grew up watching these in the 90s, and even in the 2000s, Magnus Vermagnusson won almost like he always was winning these contests.
Don't just shut it down at 2000. I think it was up to about 3 years ago. You could still watch those ESPN classics of those guys. I want to thank Tyler Colton, too, because a local pro wrestler who offered it to us as well, because they're all involved in that strongman stuff. But yeah, you can still watch the videos on YouTube and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy.
Huge man, Kirby. I'm dying to see the size of Magnus Vermagnusson's hands. We are going to have him in studio, not this Friday, the Friday after.
Let's just say your apartment building, Kirby, is off by a couple inches. Let's say it's just kind of sinking a little bit. You want to do your property management group a favor? We'll send him over. He can lift it, and they can just redo what they have to do to get the concrete set. He's that strong.
Yeah, you got to start asking him for favors, Kirby.
Philly, Joe, Kirby.
Philly, Joe, and Kirby.
Podcast.
The Philly, Joe, and Kirby podcast.
How did you not tell us, Kirby, that yesterday was self-care day?
International Self-Care Day, my friends. I know. I can't believe I missed it. I mean, I definitely celebrated it because I celebrate self-care every day.
That's a given. Yeah, we assumed that you would celebrate self-care day. Yeah. I mean, you have a list of self-care things that you do, but you were asking us when the mics were off, what Joe and I do for self-care.
Yeah.
And I just said massage therapy is probably as much as I do self-care wise. I love a massage. I don't go enough. I feel amazing afterwards. So it's something that I used to do every month. And then I backed right off it for a long time. And now with the evolution of a bad shoulder that I have, I'm starting to go again. And I regret ever not going frequently. So
I didn't start going till just a few years ago. But yeah, I go about every 5-6 weeks. So that would go. I just went golfing on Tuesday. I just needed one of those days to clear my mind. Golf usually doesn't work that way because, it gets in your head as a game, but it didn't. It was just nice to be outside. So for me.
Depends on the foursome. And a guy like you who, a lot of golf events, and you love doing it, but you're emceeing or quote unquote working at them. So for you to be able to unplug and just go golfing with some buddies, that is for sure self-care, right?
It's good.
Good for you. And Kirby, let me get my pen out for the list.
Hold on, you need my pad.
A pad, yeah.
Hold on.
Open up that old pad.
Oh my God.
Hold on a second.
No, we're not going to go through the list of things that I go to for health care or for self-care. Healthcare. Healthcare is a whole nother list.
Yeah.
Hold on. You want me to write a column? I'll just need to draw a line.
No, but I will say, Phil, would you consider getting like a coffee every morning routine self-care for you?
No, that's just
Really?
routine. I'd call that routine. Something I
You don't
get on
like
the
that's
way
not
to
a
work.
treat yourself thing.
No, because I do it every day. Treat would be like an ice cream cone, I would say.
Right.
Something you don't have very often.
Yeah, see, self-care can be a fine line, and I know that because I always try to get away with saying this or that is self-care. Shopping, self-care.
Oh, I like that.
Getting yourself some
I don't
clothes.
mind shopping.
Yeah, you like shopping more than I do. That's for sure.
I do,
yeah.
Yeah, maybe going to a movie, ordering food that is like a comfort food to you. That's
Right.
an act of self-care.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, they used to. I mean, if stress eating can be a thing, it has to be on the self-care side as well, because sometimes comfort food, I mean, it's called comfort food for a reason, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would put it more at I like where your head's at, Joe, on the golf. Like if I go with the perfect time of day, which I like golfing early in the morning with the perfect foursome, so I don't get out with my brothers very often, but we enjoy golfing together.
That'd be a self-care day.
100%. Something you don't do very often. Camping. I love going camping with the kids and the family, and I'd consider that self-care. I mean, Curbs for you. You get your nails done. You get your hair done.
All the services.
Those are all the services for you that you enjoy.
Right. And I think that a lot of my self-care is also solo. I don't do it like you guys with going golfing with buddies or, going camping with the family.
Yeah.
So it's different for everybody.
Whatever helps you. If you feel awesome walking away from what you're doing, I think that's got to be a great form of self-care. If you're walking away from whatever it is you did and you're a little more jump in your step and you're smiling.
Taking that nap that you need to take, that's self-care.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, Kirby. I wasted a piece of paper. That was a good list.
That's PJK Extra.
The Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
Isn't it bizarre when you think about some of the things that you remember? What takes up space in your brain? The random junk that you've memorized over the years?
I'll tell you, nobody I know in my world is better at it than Phil with those movie lines.
Oh, that's
I almost have to
skill.
go back, and you've probably cost me thousands of dollars in streaming sites just because I got to go back to watch these movies.
Yeah, can I tell you something, though? I wish I had a skull more like a brain more like yours. And I maybe wish your life would.
Because I remember people's phone numbers?
No, listen. Birthdays, names,
true.
anniversaries. You know more about my birthday, my wife's birthday, my anniversary. You just remember that stuff has a lot more use in life than this stuff. My brain remembers the weirdest things, like old soundtracks from movies and quotes from movies, and I don't want to remember that stuff. I want to remember important stuff.
Do you remember when we talked about how I remember some of the codes for produce?
Yeah.
From working in the grocery store when I was in high school.
You're like Rain Woman.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that's the weird thing that my brain has decided to remember.
Yeah.
I think we all have, certain things that are useless information. I have a list, actually.
Yeah, give us a few, because I bet you your parents' old phone number's on that list, because some people will spit that out at you.
My dad still has that phone number. What are you talking about?
Well, phone numbers in general, phone numbers from your childhood that don't exist anymore, but yet you can still recall.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? It's true. A number I probably haven't called in 30 years just popped up into my head from...
Or old friends' birthdays, that maybe you don't talk to anymore, but you remember, you'll be oh, I remember their birthdays on this day.
That's right, yeah.
Let's see here. You remember passwords to certain things that you no longer have to.
I think that one might
input.
That's a tough one.
Now with you having to renew your password, I know in the corporate environment like we are, every couple of months you have to do a new password every 3 months,
and you're told to have many passwords for different things, not to use the same one. So oof.
How to play hot cross buns on the recorder or chopsticks on the piano, because they're just such memorable things. The theme song to something, you remember word for word on a show that maybe you grew up watching.
Oh yeah, how about a jingle from a commercial? What about
that?
Oh yeah, commercial jingles. Man. Yes.
Save
lines.
big money at Menards. Isn't that the Menards from the
still
States?
Goes. It's still going, that one.
Look at that, Phil.
Yeah.
Codes or cheat codes for video games back in the day.
Cheat codes.
I was just talking to a friend of mine who was a fellow Sims player, and we were joking about how we used to hack the game with this code where you could get more money without having to buy anything.
Crazy.
But yeah, certain things we remember. People's names that we no longer, associate with. Dance moves like the Macarena.
Yeah. How about the boot, scoot, and boogie?
Well, there's that. Or rules of like games we used to play as kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, sure. Got this one here on the text line. I still remember the last 10 digits from pi formula from school. Have I used this in life? No. Dude,
But that still means you're smart.
You might be Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
If you still remember that.
Yeah.
Isn't it 3.14 and then a bunch of numbers?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. It's
That's all I remember.
3.14.
It's
Well,
just like, I don't remember the series of numbers following it.
That's what he remembers.
Oh, okay.
Or she. I
Yeah.
can't tell. He didn't say a name. Also, there was a couple of other ones, but they keep flipping into more answers. But there was another one that's saying they remember like their student number from university and that kind of stuff. Like I can't even remember my employee number here.
Absolutely not. I got to search it up.
I think nowadays our brain isn't like wired for that, because if you think about it, back then we had to remember all those things. We didn't have a device like a phone to keep everybody's phone numbers in or keep notes.
Got this one here. You and me were never meant to be, baby. Think of
of
me
me once in a while at WKRP in Cincinnati.
Wow.
Kirby's looking at us like we're insane.
This is the Philly Joe and Kirby podcast.
We're going to take you to the dinner table. Just over 40% of people say they do this at pretty much every meal. So for every dinner, 40% of people say they're doing this.
780 City, 780 2484. Good morning.
I'd like a lifeline.
Philly or Kirby?
We're going to go with Kirby. She usually comes through for me.
There you go.
Nice.
Clutch.
Somebody believes in me.
I'm
Okay.
believing you, girl.
I'm going to say the first thing that came to mind was that they have a glass of water with dinner.
No, not. That's a good answer, though, Curbs.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's not there.
You have a good day.
You too, bye.
780 City, hello there.
I'm going to say look at their cell phone.
Number 3. Yeah, using their phone. Number 3. Because I think the number is actually higher probably now than 40%.
I mean, a lot of people just have a phone right beside them during dinner.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who have kids that have no phone policies at the table.
Yeah, for dinner. Yeah, sure.
I would use that policy if we ever actually sat together as a family during dinner. It's so busy, like they're eating at different times. Good morning.
Good morning. Can I go with a lifeline?
Philly or Kirby?
Kirby, of course.
Carbs.
Aw.
Here we go.
Okay, can I hear the question one more time, Joe?
Sure. Just over 40% of people will do this at pretty much every meal at dinner.
They will talk about their day.
No.
Answer.
No, good answer. Both of them have been good, but not top 5.
Okay.
Thanks, Kirby.
Yeah, no problem. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
You guys want to go for lunch?
I mean, I would.
780 City, hello there. Hello. Hi, City.
You are the one to ask for lunch because Phil's not going to. Phil will like to go for lunch, but it never comes to fruition.
Yeah, I'll schedule it, but then it's not going to happen. Good morning.
Philly.
Philly, lifeline.
No one's guessed for themselves yet, hey?
Yeah, a couple.
Oh, did they?
I think. Did they not? Yeah, I think we had one or two. Just over 40% of people will do this at pretty much every dinner.
They will. Half second, so he guessed for himself there.
Have seconds. No is not the answer. No, sorry. I couldn't. We did have somebody guess using their phone. That was number 3.
Okay.
Right, yes.
3 life. So that we won't count that as a lifeline because he guessed for himself. Good morning, City.
Right.
Yeah, is it pray?
Not pray. That's a good answer. A lot of families still
grace.
do that. Yeah.
Old school. Thank you for your guess. Bert, block party tickets and a GC for Fat Burger on the line this morning. Hello there.
Hi, is it watching TV?
Watching TV. Number 4. Having that TV on is number 4. This is not a technological answer. Nothing to do with technology, but we've covered off phones and TVs. So,
Hi, City.
Hey, let's go with Kirby.
Okay, so it's not technology related.
no.
They will They will give their scraps to the family dog.
No. Good answer again, though, Kirby. I will say this. There's a good chance that your father probably would do this more than you would at the dinner table, just because times were different. I don't think this happens as often now as it would have back in the day. That's why it might be only 40% now.
Your father.
It's probably more to do with a health thing than anything else. Just over 40% of people do this at dinner time.
Hi, City.
Let's go with Philly.
Wow.
Phil?
I am,
Think about, because you do have enough meals with your pops,
yeah.
and you might do this. I don't know. But I...
Cuts up his food small, like... so he
no,
doesn't choke on
no,
anything?
but the word cut comes into play in the answer, because you've probably cut this out.
780 City, 780-2484. Good morning.
Hi, can Kirby help me out?
She probably can.
Can I just say before I help you out, I always thought my dad was absolutely bonkers for cutting the corn off of the cob.
No.
Like, I would be like, why are we having corn on the cob if dad's cutting the corn off the cob? Why don't we just have niblets then?
Sometimes
Like, it
it's
completely defeats the purpose.
Sometimes it's teeth. If you're a little older and your teeth.
I think he's missing a few, so that might be
that
that.
could be it.
All of a sudden, you're getting those gaps filled with the...
That's right.
But I used to always wonder as a kid, why are we having corn on the cob if he's always cutting it off?
That's not the answer you're
No,
giving. That's an
I-
open message to your father.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say they have cut out... Like, does this have to do with a drink? Like, do they have an alcoholic drink?
Nope. Nope.
So they don't cut out... Okay, I'm sorry.
Nothing to do with a beverage. It has everything to cut out with something to do with food.
Is that it for Lifelines, too?
No, there's one left.
One left. 780 City, 780-2484. Good morning.
Good morning. Cut out the salt.
Yeah.
Oh.
They've cut out salt from their food, which is obviously a health concern.
Phil's dad loves salt.
My dad will salt
I
everything.
know
yeah.
that about Daryl.
Salt Chinese food, pizza.
I've got a family member, salad.
Yeah.
They'll add salt to a salad. It's unbelievable. What do you have in your salad? Everything and salt. The other answer was getting caught chewing with your mouth open
Oh.
and passing the food to the right. I never think about which way you pass the food.
Oh, yeah, we don't.
But I guess etiquette says it's to the right.
So I'm a loud eater, like, and I've passed it on to my oldest son, and it drives my wife insane. You sound just like your dad. Stop eating like that. I don't want to listen to you eat.
Does he hide in the corner while he eats,
No, that's
too?
just my badger
No,
instincts.
that's
Okay.
I will bite your arm off,
I
Kirby.
think it's any animal. I don't think you have to take it out on the badgers. Most animals take their food to their corner.
That's true. Who's this?
It's Jay.
Jay.
Way to go, Jay.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Philly Joe Kirby.
Philly Joe and Kirby.
Podcast.
The Philly Joe and Kirby Podcast.
I think I figured out why 300,000 people are going to the opening ceremonies of the Olympics in Paris. And I can't believe this is the first I'm learning of this. Lady Gaga and Celine Dion to perform duet at Olympic opening ceremony. My God, that is massive.
I was just reading she's getting like $2 million
Yeah.
or something like that to perform, and she's had that illness. So this is her first appearance in how many years?
I thought she's not getting paid for that gig.
I read two schmill as well, but I.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I might have thought that
One song.
she wasn't getting paid. But, I mean, the documentary I watched on Amazon Prime, Celine Dion's documentary, unbelievable.
Yeah, she's something. And
Could you imagine? Though it's called stiff person syndrome. We know about stiff leg syndrome. That's
Yeah.
you. But this, is a neurological thing that,
I feel
especially
bad.
when you make your living doing that, like that's pretty scary.
yeah, like mine, I can't really relate to Celine because mine's just from not enough water and stretching, I do believe. That's what my massage therapist says.
It has not affected your career by
No,
any means.
Not at all. I mean, I'm thriving, to quote Shalinda Kirby.
You're thriving.
For those maybe going to the opening ceremonies in Paris tomorrow, here's what you need to know. The ceremony begins around 12:30 our time. Now, for the first time ever, Joe, it won't be held in a stadium. Instead, planners have spent months organizing a performance on the Seine with boats for each national delegation. So the parade will begin at the Austerlitz Bridge and culminate its 6-kilometer-long route.
On the Seine River?
Yeah. So it's they're boats with the delegation. So Team Canada's going to be on a boat.
Did we send the paddle wheel to represent?
Oh my gosh!
Could
The
you imagine?
paddle wheel.
Give her. This is like Apple River. They got like the tubes. Could you imagine the athletes tubing with a case of beer? Just...
For more Philly, Joe, and Kirby, lock it into 92.1 City weekday mornings 6 to 10.